Good evening and welcome back to Be Rich. Today I want to concentrate on the positive sides of the Ukraine Russian conflict. Can there be a positive side? Yes, there can be. This is for countries which export commodities and not countries which import commodities. I have been talking ad nauseum about the fact that commodity prices have been increasing all over the world. This has put enormous pressure on the economies of many countries like China and India and Japan, which mainly are primarily importers of commodities. I have never looked at this problem from the other side of countries which are struggling but export commodities. Today, I want to talk initially about a country that does major commodity exports. The country I want to talk about is Malaysia. Malaysia has been having a serious problem. First, in the previous regime of Prime Minister Najib Razak, there was a problem in the sense that there was a IMBD scandal in which billions of dollars of US dollars worth of investments were stolen. Basically, these were sham investments made by the Prime Minister's family from the Malaysian sovereign fund. Before the country could recover from it, what had happened was that the pandemic struck. Therefore, the country had to borrow huge amounts of money and spend to support the economy. Unlike India, Malaysia decided to spend the money so as to support its economy. The Malaysian economy did take a hit from the pandemic, but not as bad as the others. Pre pandemic, the fiscal deficit of the Malaysian government was around 3.2%. During the pandemic, in spite of several issues, the Malaysian government spent money generously by borrowing it. The fiscal deficit went to 6.4%. Yesterday, speaking in their parliament, the finance minister said that while the Ukraine war was bad for the world and was having a marginal effect in the Malaysian economy, the average price of crude oil assumed by him in making the budget was $66. Unfortunately for the world and fortunately for Malaysia, the price of crude oil is trading much higher than that. The price of crude is now at $111 a barrel, and it does not look like correcting anytime soon. Even if the war with Russia ends for Ukraine, the price could only come down to 85 or 90, which is still higher than the 66 assumed by the Malaysian Prime Minister. The Malaysian Prime Minister said this commodity boom is going to help his country pay off some of its debt and reduce the pressure. In fact, it is now expected the projected 6.4% in fiscal deficit will be brought down to less than 6 or at least 6%. This means Malaysia will be able to trim its debt. While this is happening, he has wisely said that this Ukrainian problem will definitely affect Malaysia. Malaysia, while having a positive effect on commodity, especially in oil, will have a negative effect because they are part of the global supply chain in manufacturing. And a war in Ukraine is definitely going to affect that supply chain. Also, Malaysia is a large producer of palm crude oil, which is a commodity mainly imported by countries like India. So, once palm oil prices are also have begun to climb. Why have they begun to climb? Because Russia and Ukraine are the largest manufacturers of sunflower oil. And since sunflower oil has disappeared from the market, palm oil is meant to substitute it. To add more fuel to the rising prices of palm oil is the fact that there is a drought in Argentina and South America from where soya is grown. And so, since there's a shortage of soya, therefore it means there's a shortage of soya oil also. All this means that both commodities which Malaysia exports, palm oil as well as crude, are going to go through the roof. This is definitely beneficial for Malaysian economy but bad for the rest of the world. In Indonesia also the same situation exists. However, since there is huge consumption of palm oil In Indonesia, there is big problem because palm oil prices have gone through the roof. The government has resorted to an innovative tax on palm crude exports, which is used to fund subsidies for people buying palm crude oil for local domestic consumption. But will Malaysia benefit more as it runs a more disciplined government? Another positive trend in the world is that in developing nations during the COVID pandemic period, the amount of children born had dropped. Already in the developed world, fertility levels were well below replacement level. It is a well known fact in demographics that any level below 2.1, which is the replacement level, will mean declining populations over a long time. Even before the pandemic, the birth rates in most of the major Western nations had dropped well below the pandemic level. And even before the pandemic, the fertility ratio had dropped well below the replacement rate. The pandemic made it worse, and there was a more perilous drop in birth of children. It is only after the pandemic has settled and a large dollop of economic stimulus was given that the birth rates began to stabilize and have begun to rise. In fact, in places like Wales, the birth rates have exceeded those at the pre-pandemic level. But in most of Western Europe and in the United States, the birth rates have increased and crept past the pre-pandemic levels. At least a crisis did not get worse in the pandemic level. This is in line with historic experiences. The same was the case reported during the Spanish flu pandemic, where it led to a precipitous drop in the birth of new children. But the recovery in birth rates post pandemic has been faster today because of large spread economic stimulus and vaccinations, whereas during the time of the Spanish flu, it did not happen. So the world has definitely learned a lesson and things have improved better. These are two stories which are impressed me on the positive side because of the Russian Ukraine war and the COVID pandemic. Thank you for watching. Be rich. If you like this video, kindly hit the like button and turn on the bell notification. If you do not turn on the bell notification, you will not be notified every time we send a video. If you do like the content, kindly consider sharing with your friends and relatives. I have written two books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.